Would like to welcome each and every one of you for being here on tonight. Our first item of business is the approval of minutes from our May 18, 2023 meeting.
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept.
So it has been motion and second that we approve the minutes from May 18, 2023. At this time, yes,
Do you want to roll call?
yes, I'm sorry, yes, roll call.
William Maury,
Aye.
Camille Hardy,
Aye.
Ron Gilbert,
Aye. The next item of business on our agenda will be the public comments. If anyone would like to make a comment, we ask that you come to the podium, please, and state your name and your address.
Diane Sachs, 304 Chestnut Street. I was just curious as to how items are chosen to be on the code enforcement changes.
road department, or planning and zoning.
I was planning and zoning, I'm sorry, I'm code enforcement. Never mind, planning and zoning.
Can you repeat that for me, Diane, please, Ms. Sykes?
How are items chosen to be on the agenda to change the codes? That's my question. Who decides what needs to be changed and why?
What the, process, if I'm correct, if not, Child, you write out your comment, present it to, the city manager, and he will, then it will be put on the agenda for us to address.
Okay, so citizens decide what goes on the agenda.
No, get Mr. Hood.
Yeah, if you're talking about the code update?
Yeah.
They're coming from the consultant. They select the chapters that'll be presented in the order, and then they send them to us, and we send them out to the board for their review.
Okay, so how much was the consultant to go through this code to codes?
Well, how much was the contract? I don't recall what it was. It was, I think, $20,000. Like that.
Okay, thank you.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
Kev Teo, 96 Lake Argenta Drive, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I'm here today because I want to address another Planning and Zoning Commissioner, Tracy Eckhart. Unfortunately, she's not here, but I'm going to speak anyways. We recently had the recall election on May 30th, and I just want to let everybody know I've filed grievances against her particularly with the Ethics Commission and then also with the Florida Elections Commission. And the reason why I did that is because the information that has come out since then is very concerning for me, especially from a person who serves on the city's Planning and Zoning Commission. So, if you look at Florida statutes 119.0713, very clearly spells out local government agency exemptions from public records, right? Says in there customer meter derived data, billing information is exempt from public records. So we had an issue where Tracy Eckhart had misused her position. She had actually somehow gotten access to Crescent City utility accounts information from
Madam
residents.
Chairman, may I raise a point of order? Is this really having to do with our business here today? I just don't see what accusations have to do with our agenda.
Well, it's public comment.
But it's public comments.
It's public comment. It's not public comment
Yeah,
on an agenda item. It's just public
But
comment.
this is not our planning and zoning.
Well, absolutely, it revolves around planning and zoning. I'm trying to get to the point, right? I'm trying to say she, in my opinion, abused her position being on the planning and zoning board in order to get this information. How else would you get that
Madam
information?
Chairman, that'd be something that, if he's filed a complaint with the ethics division, then let them do their investigation. I don't think that really has anything to do with us.
Well,
You're making
I
accusations.
think your role as the planning and zoning commission is to take in information from the citizens, and that's what I'm here to tell you. Now, what you do with that information afterwards, that's your choice. But right now, it seems like, I'm being interrupted, I'm not allowed to finish what I want to say. So, what I wanted to say was that, by allowing somebody who's in a position of authority to get access to information that they should not have access to, you're really violating the trust and you're really violating the privacy of your residents, of your citizens. Because what she ended up doing was she took that information and she compiled it and then went to the supervisor of elections office and challenged the rights of 11 voters. That's a big deal, And so my job here is just let you know the information. It's not information that is hearsay, right? You can call the supervisor of elections office up and verify the information. I have that information. So I really feel that her actions have serious legal implications for the city and for you as a board. And I think if I don't come up here and tell you that, and I just say, the heck with it, I'm not doing my due diligence. And the last thing I will say is that I was very hesitant to give the city any of my private information, my driver's license. And because all this has happened, I'm glad I didn't do that, because it's shown me that the information can't be trusted. So I really feel that she's not somebody who should serve on this board. And I thank you for your time.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other public comments? Yeah, we will now move on to our new business. The first item under new business will be selection of a new chair. So,
Can citizens make a recommendation?
I think we can take out nominations for the board.
yes, so,
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, seeing that you have served the longest with all of us, I move that Roger Glover be chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I second that.
We don't vote second.
That was gonna be my recommendation as well, that because of the served, that, it was also my recommendation that she be, appointed as the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission for.
so we have a motion and we have a second. And, Ms. Glover served as the chairman of the board.
Talk about yourself in the third person. That's okay. You do it all the time.
We do a roll call.
Yes. Indiana Hardy,
Yes.
BJ Lori,
Aye.
Veronica Glover,
Yes. Thank you. Next item is amending the conditional use for 2 North Summit Street.
and I think that's supposed to be Sally.
South, yeah, because that's what so that should be 2 South Summit Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This item, you approved a conditional use previously, actually a couple times prior. This property's had a conditional use, both for auto repair and for food trucks. And this time the owner has come back, he previously had approved food trucks, wants to amend that to not only have a food truck, but a tap room on site, service on site is conditional use, whereas package is permitted by right. So it should be in the conditional use. So staff strongly recommends approval. We're excited about the layout and the possibility of this gathering place. So we recommend approval of this amendment to the conditional use.
Any members of the board would like to make a comment?
I was, this is this an amendment or is it just another approval of the conditional use? Is it, what was the conditional use before? Wasn't it for a garage or a auto shop? I was thinking.
Well, it's like a food truck.
That was the commission.
And I reached out to our planning director and tell you just amend the existing, because it's also still food trucks,
Okay,
with the addition of the taps.
okay. That's what I was confused about.
And the applicant, one of the applicants is here if you have any questions about it.
Would the applicant like to give any comments, speak?
How are you today? My name is John Taylor. We're looking to open up a self-service tap room with food trucks, food. It's beer, wine, 2 COP liquor license, so there won't be any full liquor. We won't have a bar, it'll be more of a gathering place with food, games, and music, and TV for sports.
Any questions?
You said self-serve?
Yes.
Yeah,
Explain the
self-serve.
system.
Have you seen that yet? Okay, so what you do is you'll walk in through the front door and you'll be greeted by a host or a hostess or both. At that point, you give them either your credit card or debit card, they'll swipe and get in the system. Hand that back to you, as well as it's called a filling station, because it used to be an old service station, a gas station. So I'll give you also a filling station card, where when you walk up against the tap wall, there'll be 20 taps roughly, with different beers. You're gonna put that card, that filling station card, on a reader, and it charges you by the ounce. Instead of having to get a full beer and not liking that beer, you can taste a sample, try it, don't like it, put the glass in a dirty glass tray, pick up another clean glass, and get another beer if you like it, fill it all the way up.
On this, chart, I just wonder what the numbers represent. Are those the 4 tops, like how many people sit at each
The
table?
numbers on the tables on this.
Oh, that's just a rough, that's an initial, you know, we'll get architectural drawings and everything for the state.
I was confused.
So I think when I read it, it's indoor and outdoor? You said-
Yes. Yeah, on the covered area, you'll see, and to answer your question, yes, the 4 on there is for 4 top, 6, 16 for there's gonna be picnic tables underneath the overhang, as well as in between the columns on the metal roof on the outside. I'll build a drink rail where you can sit and eat there as well with outdoor stools. You're facing the park across the street.
Is there a difference in what you're doing, like the brewery in Palaca? I mean, I know that they have,
Azalea,
yeah,
they have a bartender behind there serving and whatnot, and when you come in ours, you'll get checked for ID, and then you can just choose what you want. There will also be people working there that come and explain this to you, people coming in, going around and cleaning up. After, you know, you can either put your stuff in the bin or somebody forgets, we come and clean it, we'll be servicing all the dishware.
Is there gonna be some alterations to the building done, or is it?
Pardon me?
Is the building gonna be, altered in any way? Or is it,
Just restrooms, I think, just the building alteration, would just be the restrooms, is that correct?
Restroom.
Yeah.
so it's gonna stand?
I'm gonna have to build out inside there as well. I'm gonna do a lot of construction on the property, but step 1 was to get the approval to be able to pour before I start spending money with the architects and the builders.
Sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, it does.
I already have a 26-foot mobile kitchen food trailer. That's one of the other businesses I have, and we'll be bringing that down here, as well as having local guest food trailers, and we'll do a rotation where they come in on, initially I plan on opening Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and as that grows, then we'll add Thursday, we need to add Wednesday, and Tuesday. I don't want to try to stretch things out in the beginning.
Oh, so the plan is to allow other food
Oh, yes,
vendors to come?
yeah,
Oh, that's great,
absolutely.
that's great.
Local businesses, we do stuff on Saturdays, you know, bring the community together to do local business stuff, charities. We're gonna have 1 tap all the time that is for charity.
Mhm.
A percentage of the profits will be going to that month's charity. At the end of the month, we just cut a check. I'm big on animal, you know, rescue animals, first responders, and stuff like that, so I'd like to give back.
Okay, so, well, there's more food opportunities, so that works for me.
And, you know, it's great visibility as far as location, you know, and it's always, I always enjoy driving and not seeing anything there, because then it's just in the middle of town. It seems like that would be a great location for something like this.
Absolutely.
It's very, I like the innovative concept there.
Okay.
So, do you need a motion to approve the conditional use?
Okay, any more questions?
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to approve the conditional use application for 2 South Summit Street.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the conditional use permit for 2 South Summit Street.
Can I get a second? Okay, so there's the motion and second to approve the conditional use application for 2 South Summit Street, Crescent City. Now roll call, please.
BJ Loring,
Aye.
Indiana Hardy,
Aye.
Veronica Glover,
Aye. Okay, good job.
We did actual planning and zoning stuff.
Now it's back to the code.
Sounds fancy. The approach.
Okay, next item is our Land Development Code Review, Articles 3B and Article 8.
So we have, Lupita is zooming in from Utah, I believe. I'll move the microphone over there for her, so she can kind of intro this. 3B is a mixture of many different.
we can't get off on this.
Lupita, you there?
Yes, I'm here. How's everyone tonight?
We're good.
They can hear you, and I've got a microphone for the YouTube.
Okay, so when the planning and zoning commission members speak, they have to speak really clearly into the microphone so that I can hear them clearly. They're coming in broken up, but if there's questions or comments that I need to capture, then I need to talk right into the microphone, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you hear us all right?
Yes, thank you.
So if you could kind of encapsulate 3B before we kind of step through it. It's really a mishmash of a variety of things. Lupita, go
You
ahead.
want me to get started?
Yes, please.
Do you want me to go? Okay, thank you. All right, so, members of the planning commission, tonight we're gonna review Article 3B. That's the general regulations for residential, accessory uses. And accessory uses are what is considered incidental and secondary to a principal use that's already permitted in a zoning district. So no accessory residential use can be permitted without first a primary use. So the purpose of this section is going to regulate the height, the size, the location, the setback of any of your accessory structures that are permitted. And all accessory structures need to comply, obviously, with the Florida Building Code, the St. Johns River Management District if applicable. And if there's ever a conflict in distancing requirements between the Florida Building Code and our LDC, distance requirements in the Florida Building Code or the St. Johns Water Management District will prevail. So the special accessory structures that we're going to be talking about include, but not limited to, your swimming pools, your pool enclosures, your decks and patios, your patio covers, gazebos, fountains, gardens, trellises, and children's playground equipment. So we do have to have an accessory structure checklist, and beginning with 3B2, residential accessory structures, where the first one is garages, which is attached and detached, and residential storage buildings. And if there's not any questions on those, we'll move on to 3B3, your special accessory structures.
Lupita? Can you hear me?
Yes?
There was the part about garages, it says in here
Yeah.
that, I can't find where it was marked, that all new homes have to have garages, is that?
This is an accessory structure, so not a garage as part of your initial primary use. Would be
If you're adding one?
above and beyond the one that is built with your primary structure.
Okay. I was just asking, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
I also have a question for that same one. So it says enclosed garages are required for all new single-family homes in the overlay.
Yeah. that's what it was, sorry.
Yeah. So that's the only area that has that requirement was what I wanted clarification for.
Could you hear her, Lapita?
I couldn't hear that question, Charles, can you repeat that one?
It says, enclosed, was it,
Garage.
enclosed garages are required in all new single family in the overlay?
Yes, all new single family homes in the overlay.
Is that the downtown overlay? What overlay is that referring to?
I think now we only have a downtown overlay. So if we want to strike that, we can strike that.
Again, I just wanted clarification on what that was, because when I look back, I know we have the historic resource district, which is considered the overlay, so I was just wondering if that is what that was meant for, that particular.
Yes, it is meant for new homes, and that would be in the overlay. And so the overlay, the boundaries for the overlay go to Florida Avenue and down to Edgewood. So you do have residential homes that are gonna be mixed in with retail commercial.
I just was wondering,
Am I answering the question?
kind of, why are we requiring that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the purpose of that? That's very different than like a new subdivision coming in, we want them to all have garages.
The downtown.
The downtown overlay is unlikely, we'll,
I think she's,
hang on.
I don't know.
I think all of us had the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like a scale.
Yeah. I don't know what I was looking at.
Hi, it's Lupita, can you just my voice now? Sorry, I can't switch off.
Let me bring up the next meeting.
We did a second meeting.
How much do you start? That paycheck.
I downloaded it.
We pay for
We can just plug mine in, I downloaded it.
it. Well, it's free, just, you can only do a 45-minute long meeting. And so she was on for a few minutes before the meeting started, and then it ends, but you can start another one.
They have to get on the phone, like, it's the same meeting that we're on.
Because they have the free version. But can we walk away, or we can still discuss?
Well, that was my question,
I don't understand really
Purpose
if
of,
the downtown development overlay is for the central business district, and it's supposed to be so that we better use the land that's available for, new businesses and stuff. That's why we did the zero lot lines and the parking requirement waivers. So it just seems really silly that we're requiring an enclosed garage with every new home there. That just seems to kind of work in counter opposition to what the purpose of the overlay district is. You're right.
Well, that was my question, just because of how it read, and, it was one thing if it said enclosed garages are required for all new single family homes, but then it went to read in the overlay, and so I was just wondering what was the rationale behind that? So my question basically was for clarification.
Well, no, I'm reading it the same way you are, which doesn't seem, it seems to be counter to what the goal of the downtown development overlay is.
You're on Zoom. Did Zoom, because we thought she was gonna share her screen.
I have,
If she wants
wants to share her screen, she's gonna have to do it
There's,
from
there's
herself.
no, she didn't have anything to show on the screen, she said.
She'll have
Hi,
to.
this is Amy. Hi,
Well, if I need to, we'll do like we did before, I'll just go through and collect your comments.
Okay.
She kind of explained, the gist of it, this whole thing is various types of accessory uses, everything from cell towers to garages, flag poles, that sort of thing. So
Yes.
we'll just, I think it'll be easier to do it that way.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah, that one is a big question there.
that was, top
That's,
of the second page.
A.3.
We're gonna circle that, that's overlay.
Because first of all, it should say which overlay, really. Because-
Yeah, it seems strange, there's not likely to be much new home construction in the overlay.
And even if there is, we're trying to make the best use of the land there. So by requiring an enclosed garage, it just seems to be counterintuitive.
So anything else on that, 3B1 and 3B2 sections, not going to residential storage buildings? Many items on storage buildings. Commissioner Eckhart did send in some comments, which I'll forward to, as part of the comments.
The portable, yeah, I have a question about portable storage units.
She had a question about, setbacks, which we haven't got to yet, setbacks 60 foot from front property line, 20 feet from secondary front yard, from secondary front yard. Anybody else have that? I saw that as well. I'm not sure what they meant by secondary front yard.
I saw that.
Yeah, we had, yeah.
Does she say the section or something?
It says 4, but I think that maybe 3B.4 perhaps.
Yes, it is.
So I remember reading that.
And then she had a 5A, maximum size 80 square feet. But that was very restrictive. And so that.
We're trying to read
Minimum size 80 square feet in the area. That was for residential storage buildings, where it would be, where's these pages?
Are we going to address her when we get to it, or are you?
I'm just making the note, as I did with yours. What do you all feel about that? The residential storage building, a maximum size of 80 square feet in area, 10 by 8. Residential storage building may be permitted as an accessory use on a residential property. Only one such residential storage unit is allowed, and the residential storage building shall be further regulated as follows. So this would be in addition to a garage.
as like a shed or. like-
Yeah, you're gonna bring in a shed, 8 by 10. Pam, what's our current code on sheds? It varies by size, right? There's a certain size you don't need a permit.
Yeah, 149 square feet, you don't need a permit,
Oh, so it's-
which would be
So
10 by
this is-
15,
Yeah, 8 square feet, so
10 by 15,
Yeah, so it seems, yeah, that does seem small.
144, 149.
So 149 square feet, you don't need a,
15.
yeah, larger than that, you have to get a building permit.
Right. That
But it's still doable.
10 by 15 is pretty large. I'm not sure what, what size they market them as, if you, buy one at Home Depot or something.
Do you want to have a maximum size?
I mean, it seems to, they would run, it would make sense to kind of go along the lines of what we have already. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, unless we need to make them smaller. We haven't had any problems with people with large sheds that are.
I don't think so, because it's also governed by setbacks. So if it won't fit in your yard because of the setbacks, you can't have it, in fact.
But that 80 square feet seems to be way too limited.
That's an 8 by 10, that's a little bit.
yeah, that's small, that's small.
Too small. Yeah, that's what I thought, just too small.
Yeah, that's right.
Just remove the maximum.
Like I said, I think going along with what we have now, if it seems to be working, can we keep it?
That's not a maximum, that's just triggers the permitting process, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if we keep that along the same lines. I mean, we haven't had any problems with it in the past.
What is it, 149, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah, 10 by 15 requires a permit, anything less than that does not.
150, yeah.
You could make it 150.
Yeah, we get 150 is the maximum size. Sounds good to me.
okay, so for 10 by 15, so 150 maximum size, okay.
What's that? We don't want anything bigger than that.
That's all contingent on the setbacks and things like that.
It would still be, yeah, limited by, setting back from your rear and side yards and so forth. So that'll limit the size as well, if your yard just isn't big enough to handle it.
Right. So as far as permits are concerned, we're saying anything smaller than 150 does not require a permit.
Right, yeah, that's a separate,
Right.
code issue. This is just
It
setting the maximum.
would make sense though for the two of them to line. I mean, we don't want to make it more complicated than it needs to be. Because if you do want to build a storage unit bigger than 150, then you would have the option, you get a permit, or you'd have to call it something else. Okay,
Yeah, I'll have to find out about that. What happens if it's.
I mean, I guess you could, it would be a garage or a detached garage. Because we don't want to get too big, then people will be parking the vehicles and then the garages. I guess it all depends on what you call
I'll find out about that.
Yeah, 'cause-
We're talking about the residential storage buildings, correct?
Yes, yeah.
So it says, that these residential storage buildings shall be used exclusively for storing household items. Right, so that eliminates the possibility of someone using it for like parking. What he said, cars or whatever, I don't know, it's been fine.
I was trying. And then household items, does that include lawnmowers, things like that?
It says no mechanical equipment shall be operated within or attached to such building.
But you can store them.
And I think that,
So should a certification be even stored, but you can't, operate it or within it, or being attached to the building?
Yeah, it's not meant to be a shop,
Right.
for instance. Literally just for storage.
Mhm.
Truck storage.
Yeah, I'm looking at Home Depot right now, the biggest ones that looks like they have is 120 square feet. So. I don't think there's one that you're gonna
but the
find it.
other ones that people sell, some of them are larger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand.
so,
That sounds like that. 150 should be.
Ready to move on to special accessory structures.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we still going to allow 2 sheds?
this
Our
is,
current code allows 2 accessory structures. Are we gonna limit it to 1 now? Any-
Well, there's a distinction, I think, between, residential accessory structures and residential storage buildings. So we'll have to clarify that.
Yeah. In this, it says, only one such residential storage building is allowed, and the residential storage building shall further be regulated, and then that's where we have the changes.
Then if you look at the top of the next page where it talks about location, I don't know if that answers, that question. It says that,
Out of the secondary front yard.
may be located or where it's located, it can't be,
And
it must be separated at least 6 feet from any other accessory structure, so is that alluding to you can possibly have more than one?
It sounds like it, yeah.
well, I think that means if you have a garage, it's an accessory structure.
That's true.
So you have to have it at least 6 feet from another one. So that's, all of these are accessory structures. So that's not saying that you would have another shed. You could have a detached garage, and then this facility would have to be 6 feet from that one. Because all of these are accessory structures. Does that make sense? I'm channeling what Peter.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll get clarification if you don't know.
That's where she was talking, or that's where, Ms. Eckhart was talking about the secondary front yards and waterfront yards.
Yeah, I made a note for secondary front yards to define that, let's define that. Waterfront yards are obviously waterfront property. Often consider the facing of the water as the front yard.
So what are we clarifying, just so we clear to those?
The distinction on our, the size of what happens bigger, that may actually trigger as a different type of structure if it's larger than 150 square feet. Our current code currently allows 2 accessory structures. Are we distinguishing, would that be like a garage and a storage, or could it be a garage? Do they mean we can have 2 storage, just to define that, the questions that are coming up. And then also defining secondary front yards.
Our current code allows for 2 accessory structures, 2 sheds. If you had a garage, you could also have 2 sheds.
So that's what we need to figure out. If they want to change that, or we can keep in that.
And that's probably why they have garages separate. Because garage is,
It's important.
garage is being defined as attached or non-attached, and then you go to D for residential storage buildings, so, and, you know, the way I read it, would residential storage buildings will be shared.
And I'm putting, with this update, so you only be allowed 1. As it says.
Actually, that's what mine looks like at my house. I got a shed, well, carport, and,
Which is a garage.
yeah,
What it
so
says.
again,
Right.
that, you know.
And then that's,
So is your desire to allow that, to allow a detached garage as well as 2 accessory structures? You want to make sure that stays?
That's,
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, that sounds like that's how it is.
okay.
yeah, we need clarification on that.
Okay, ready for special accessory structures? Include but not limited to swimming pools, pool enclosures, decks and patios, patio covers, gazebos, portables, fountains, garden trellises, and children's playground equipment. Tree houses are specifically excluded as special accessory structures.
That's specified.
Swimming pools, spas, and screening pool enclosures may be permitted by the city and shall be regulated as follows. And then those are probably very much the same as our current swimming pool requirements.
There's still, and there's down there, and again, I mentioned a secondary front yard. I guess we just need to figure out what that is.
Anything on that? Goes through 9, 1 through 9 on those requirements? Notes?
I didn't have any questions.
Other special accessory structures which cannot be located in accordance with the requirements of the proceeding may be permitted after review in accordance with Article 6 general development and site plan requirements. That's satellite amateur radio antennas, portable storage units.
Yeah. Portable storage units, it does say in your placement of the PSU shall not create any unsafe condition, and the police department shall be authorized to place any other restriction.
Say law enforcement.
Yeah, that's what I was going after.
Anything else on 3B4?
I have a question.
Yes.
Are the portable storage units gonna have a time frame on how long they
Yes.
can be there?
It's in here. Yeah, it says in here that, they shall not exceed the following duration of stay. An event shall mean the delivery and pickup of the PSU. Event shall be non-consecutive, and you have a maximum of 7 calendar days per event with a maximum of 4 events per dwelling per calendar, or dwelling unit per calendar year. And it says for non-residential uses, there's a maximum of 7 with a maximum of 4 calendar days. A longer storage of up to 30 days per calendar year, or 30-day event per calendar year shall be allowed, provided the PSU is placed in designated park area. So yes, there's a time limit. And we're talking about
Next stage
the
of-
pods thing, right?
Or container unit.
It's after, when you see 3B4, where it has other special accessory structures on the very next page, D.
Yeah.
Number 2, well, 1 and 2.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Anything else on 3B4? 3B5 is accessory dwelling unit. Is a smaller independent residential dwelling unit located on the same lot as a standalone, i.e. detached, single-family home. Accessory dwelling units are allowed by the city with a conditional use permit approval in single-family and agricultural zoning districts. And accessory dwelling unit may be permitted as an accessory use to a single-family home under the following conditions.
I'm glad to see that in there. I brought this up actually when we had that first workshop with the planners at the very beginning. And it's not overly complicated, so. I mean, one of the most important parts about ADUs are they allow for maybe another dwelling unit behind the house. If someone gets to become a senior and might want to stay in their home, they can have a caregiver that might be able to live here on the property. And it just makes it, just a lot easier for senior citizens and other people, or if they call it mother-in-law suite sometimes too. So, we didn't really, the old code pretty much just didn't allow them at all, from what I read, and it was kind of, interesting. So
I think there was a phase in planning that when I came to Newport Richey, they were not allowed there, and they were going through the process of allowing them. They asked you housing mix, really,
And there's a big push all over Florida right now because of housing crises in other places, so.
So anything on 3B5, accessory dwelling units? So 3B6 is boat docks. Crescent Lake is part of the description of the general requirements. Boat docks or other related structures shall require permit and engineered plans. All boat docks shall meet the applicable setbacks of the zoning district in which they are to be located. Number 9 has a reference to the end of the
But then there was also, no dock shall extend outward from the water, into the water from the seawall, mean, or ordinary high water mark, or high water line more than 300 feet. Is that normally, I don't have a dock, so I'm not sure how long, like I say, I'm with the dock that's right next to the city dock, down.
I think Fletcher
How long is Fletcher?
dock is 300 feet, I believe.
I just didn't know how that compared to a dock. I'm not great with docks. There was under the additional requirements for residential docks. This is that no residential dock status photos for a tide pole shall extend from the mean high water line or seawall of the opportune upland property to a length greater than 1/2 the width of the zoning lot on the waterfront. Now, to me, that is under 3B61.
Oh, next section?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I'm just skipping that, yeah. So that's number 3. And I mean, I've seen, you can look at any place, if you have like 20 feet of waterfront, you could dock out there. And that's to mean that you could make a 10-foot long dock.
Well, this says may be varied administratively, provided there's statements of no objection from both adjacent waterfront property owners have been submitted. So I think there's something about probably to do with blocking somebody's view or some gigantic,
So it is something that can be waived.
Yeah. If your neighbor's like, we're good with it.
I tried to find out what the rule was in the county. And I think I was told that it was something about the diameter of the property or the crossways, but not at the waterfront. That's why I thought it was kind of interesting. Because, you'll see plenty of platted pieces of land where it goes down and it's just a little bit that gets on the water. And that's because somebody wants to build a dock there.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's okay with permission, that's fine. It seemed like it was needlessly restrictive, but that's up for discussion.
You're saying what they have here is restricted?
Well, yeah, because it says it's a length greater than 1/2 the width of the zoning lot at the waterfront. So if your property is large, but then it goes down to just a little piece that goes to the lake, and then you want to put a 200-foot dock out there or something, but you only have a 30-foot wide piece of land, because you see that all the time in houses, there's houses right now out there, that they go down to just a little piece, and then there's a much larger dock, because people will buy a piece of property to have waterfront. But if it's only 30 feet to the waterfront, you still want to be able to put a dock there so you can have your boat or whatever. And this would say that you wouldn't be able to do that unless you got permission from your adjacent water property owners, so I don't, it just,
It actually came up when I lived in Eustis, on a small inland lake. I had just maybe 6 feet, the flag lot touched the water, and he wanted to put a dock out there, but his neighbors objected. So he wasn't able to do it. That's the situation.
I just wanted to see what everyone thought. I mean, it makes sense that you would want to have your neighbor's permission, but also, I don't know, there's property rights. I mean, if you have access to water, or you want to have.
I can have him describe that better. I'm not sure what the point of that
Yeah,
is
I
in
just-
terms of
And that's why I just,
intrusive on the neighbors or something. That-
which I can see that, but I also thought, you know, let's what the county has and see how it jives with that.
Or anything else on 3B6 or 6.1? No.
And this does say in here, like, so they would still go through the normal permitting requirements and all that, we're not really touching on how it's built and all that, that's all
They
from
go through St. John's.
St. John's in the state or Bill St. John's.
All right, 3B7 is residential fence requirements.
This I was confused on. Sorry, number one, you know, it says that residential fences and walls shall be a minimum of 50% transparent in the front yard. And down on 4, it says that fences in all zoning districts shall be limited to 6 feet in height in the rear and side yards. Fences in the front yard shall be 50% opaque and limited to 4 feet in the front yard. So which one is it? At least 50% transparent and 50% opaque. I mean, that would be exactly the same, but why are we saying it shall be a minimum of 50% transparent and then it has to be 50% opaque?
Okay.
That's,
What kind of fence are you talking about, or do they?
it says that, materials such as chain link, masonry, vinyl, wrought iron, or wood. So we give them the options.
Because most codes say, you know, that residential is 6 foot high is legal, anything higher is not.
That's what we have, it's limited to, well, 4 feet in the front yard and 6 feet on the rear and sides.
Yeah, but for privacy, yeah.
But I just, yeah, the 50% transparent, or must be a minimum of 50% transparent, and then it says it has to be 50% opaque.
We'll get them. Let's make that consistent. Anything else? Fences?
So let me ask, on a person's property, so when we're talking about fences, how far does that run up when we talk about 6 feet? Okay, so your house is here, okay, and this is your front yard.
Mhm.
So how far does that 6 feet portion,
It's 4 feet actually in the front,
um,
and that would go up to the
But when-
right of way.
but I'm saying, so where is the cutoff for front and where is the cutoff
I
for
think he
back?
describes it as the front corners. Let me
Yeah, so
find
it's
where
the
that
front of
is.
the house, it's everything between your house and the right of way is the front. So
Okay,
then when you get to your house, you can make them 6 feet tall.
okay, I'm just,
Yeah.
That's our current code now, right? The front corners of the main body of the house.
Is what,
From there back has to be, can be 6 feet.
okay,
There forward, can only be 4. I think that's been maintained in here. I don't know exactly which one has that language. So it's not like, you can't go all the way to your front porch edges. It has to be the main body of the house.
okay.
and when you look at it that way, it doesn't make any sense that the front would be opaque. You want it to be at least 50% transparent. Because I have chain link fence on the one side in the front. So how would I can make that 50% opaque if I wouldn't be able to see my neighbors or it would
I
have to
don't know if it means like halfway up, put the slats in there halfway up or something. I think the idea is we don't have privacy fences in the front yards.
Yeah, that's what,
So that's why I'm saying that it should be at least 50% transparent. Go back to the wrong
Anything else on fences? So next is residential flagpoles, 3B.8. Flagpoles with a vertical or mast arm shall be allowed in all zoning districts and shall be subject to the following conditions. There's a chart there.
I'm glad that was this in our old code?
Can we address flagpole in the current code?
Not that I'm
I
aware
don't think
of.
so. I didn't see it in there anymore.
I think I did see something.
I have a question about fences, where it says, fences shall not be composed of offensive material. Who decides what offensive is?
Where did you say that?
It does, yeah, everywhere reading that's where. We read so much. It's number 2, I think, right? Do you know what section that was in, Diane? Do you know that one?
Materials is corrugated or sheet metal or scrap or offensive materials shall not be permitted.
Use pallets, they're going to use pallets and stuff like that.
Ultimately, it'd be the code board, I would imagine. You can come and cite them and then they'd go to the code board and they would argue that it's not offensive and the code board would make those.
Because I think
I really think offensive should be spelled out, otherwise how do people know?
I think we do say what the material should be in the first.
Yeah, what materials can, yeah.
Or I guess you could kind of, that leaves some room, because you're saying wood, well, if you go and get a bunch of scraps of wood and then use that as a fence, then it would, I guess, be the code enforcement board's responsibility to determine whether that is offensive or not. It just says wood, it doesn't say what type of wood, color of wood, anything like that, and,
They don't want you patching up anything where it doesn't.
right. But we don't want to get it too restrictive either, that says that you have to use pine wood or something, so.
Yeah, because I'm planning on putting some pieces of fence up, but I wanna decorate that fence with geckos. That I made out of wood. Whose determination if geckos are offensive? I mean, that's, that's what I'm asking.
Geckos are not offensive, how's that?
Well, yeah, down to you, maybe.
Was you referring to, this decorating on your fence?
This is the
You're
material
not
fence.
using the geckos to.
No, the gecko won't be the fence, the gecko will
Right,
be
so
on
that's
the
what they're
fence.
saying, this is
Yeah, you're
referring to the material used to put the fence up.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, and well, I think the material should be defined, what's acceptable and what's not.
Well, it does, number 1, it leaves those options, it says chain link masonry, vinyl, wrought iron, or wood. So it's very, very general, but yet, one of those items.
Okay, of customary materials, okay.
what you're not allowing is anything that's unsightly. Basically, that's a good term to use,
I
probably.
think, I do like the part here that says that you can't put any broken bottles or glass in the top. And no electrically charged wiring.
Electric fence.
Right.
Exactly, what you trying to do on your property.
Anything else on fences? 3B9 is group homes. Generally refers to any congregate housing arrangement for a group of unrelated people. Very brief section there. Must comply with state board licensing requirements. Over 6 persons shall be approved as a conditional use. And homes must maintain the appearance of a single family residential use.
I think that covered everything.
Yeah, anything else? I heard that.
3B10 is home occupations.
This one I thought, I mean, I don't know how everyone else is feeling about it. If you, say for instance, are a CPA, and you do tax work out of your house, having signage on the front, like even if you just put a, shingle, or like if you were an attorney and you work out of your home, and you just put a sign out front that said, Robert W. Pickens, the third or fourth, whatever, attorney at law, would that be that offensive?
What statute allow? I had Bob look up the statute. We basically can't regulate it. This just says it's gotta look like a home. We're gonna continue to look like a single family home.
This was kind of like, this staying in line to what was already there.
Yeah.
It's been debated in the.
Yeah, because.
Yeah.
I just thought that having a simple,
I think it may say we have to let them have one sign.
yeah, I thought that,
If it does, this will change.
yeah, I thought there was something in our sign ordinance that said that.
I think something in the state statute says,
Okay.
yeah.
That's another thing I was thinking about.
So this is saying basically, okay, so this is my home, and I'm a CPA, I have a business license. And I'm using my home as my business.
Right.
You can even have an employee,
Mhm.
it talks about things like, mechanical, other electrical equipment that produces noises, so you can't bother your neighbors effectively if you were manufacturing something.
You can't build a big accounting machine in your backyard. That makes a lot of noise.
Lots of company trucks, those kinds of things where it's no longer the appearance of just a residence.
And the way this reads is, you can run a business in your home, you just can't let anybody know there's a business there.
Effectively, yeah.
But I mean,
Disturb the neighborhood, basically.
I like the part about the traffic and all that, but I just think maybe having a sign would be just allowed.
I won't see anything about a sign. It says any exterior alterations to allow for the home-based business have to be consistent with the other residential structures in the area.
So you could possibly have some.
Then it says any local regulations on a business with respect to noise, vibration, heat, smoke, dust, may not be more stringent than those that apply to a residence where no business is conducted. So basically, you can't be more strict on a home-based business than you would on a regular home.
And that's what we have in here, actually, is that we want it to be the same as that.
So we can prohibit signage then.
Because I was about to say, one time an item, came up about, like if someone over there have a business and they have to take the sign down every day. So I'm just saying, we gotta think about that as well. Are they gonna have to take their sign down every day off their, off the house?
Well, how do you guys feel about this number 2, signage designating the home occupation shall be prohibited?
I don't like that.
I don't see why that would be.
I'll strike that.
Why would you even have that? They can't have
I
a
think
sign, how would that?
If it's a simple, non-illuminated, something like that, maybe we can just, instead of just taking that out there, because we don't want people to put anything on it too. So we wanted to be on
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have we not had that in the past where, and I could be wrong, because I remember years ago, I think it was it Paget that had the law office down by the?
He didn't live there.
He didn't live there, so this person has to live there
Right.
and operate the business of it.
But so if you have a client that is bringing in either taxes to drop them off or something.
Yeah.
No,
That's GC1.
it's who you're trying to own,
The contractor.
right there, yeah, he has a sign, yeah. And
What's
it's
the
there.
next one? Residential.
I think
It
it's
is-
GC1.
Yeah, it's GC1. And then we also do have.
Yeah, this was
a zoning
under
category,
SR1A.
usual land use category that is combined, or whatever it's, you can be commercial
The
or.
only thing I would about the sign, the statute says that if somebody challenges you, you're gonna lose, and the city has to pay for the attorney's fees, so you may, I don't know of a total ban.
We're gonna strike it, we're gonna recommend striking that.
Well, but
Then our sign code will address it. Currently our sign code allows for sign
Home
on home-based
occupation
business.
code allows for a sign, I believe.
Just a small unlit sign typically.
Yeah, it's side restricted, like 1 foot square, 2 foot,
right,
2
Like
square feet or something like
to me,
that.
that
I
sounds
think that's
reasonable.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not illuminated.
It's a single sign, I think it's a size limit of 2 square feet.
Because most likely it's gonna be someone that's a professional service provider, so a lawyer, attorney, attorney.
Hanger, sale expression, hanger, shingle.
Right, right.
Kind of said the same thing.
Madam Chairman.
The difference was it was all in one paragraph.
Gotcha.
When I looked at the
Yes.
old one, the website,
You have a
it looked like it had the same verbiage.
Sykes,
Anyway, you can put the microphone back up there so that everyone can hear.
Thanks, 304 Chestnut Street. Well, as an example, look at Jay Asbury's house there, house in the law office. And he had a big old sign for,
But he didn't live there.
yeah, there.
That was
That was a residence.
It was a residence, but he was using that as an office. And that's what we're trying to do, these are home-based businesses. So that if he was living there and worked out of it, then that's what this would apply to. That was built as a house, but it was only an office, he never lived there.
Yeah, he never
Oh,
lived there.
there was no one actually living in the
Now,
house?
he lived actually on Hillsdale.
Yeah.
Prospect.
Prospect,
Yeah,
sorry.
he never lived there, no.
That was just, and that happens a lot, there's a lot of homes that are converted to businesses or used as businesses. This only applies if you're working out of your home. And
Anything
you're
else
currently
on
living
home?
there and working.
Anything else on home occupations? Next is 3B11 is propane tanks.
Yeah,
That's pretty straightforward.
can we just ban propane tanks completely, because we have natural gas?
Again, allow competition. 3B12 satellite dishes and antennas.
I like that this, can only use an accessory use only and not the principal use of the property. So you can't just have a satellite dish sitting in the middle of the property by itself. But I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I'm
That's
not
a short section. You have anything on 3B12? No. 13 is outdoor residential storage, personal recreational vehicles.
My question was, we just overhauled this recently, correct? We talked, as it was, I guess you guys, the Planning and Zoning Commission, had discussed and updated our code. Is this, do you know if this is along the lines of what? Because you guys spent a lot of time working on that, and the commission did too.
Yeah, we removed the limits, restrictions on size that could be behind the house.
Is this in line with that, or are we just going back to?
Actually, I didn't look at them side by side.
I mean, I just like to know that,
I did have a question from Commissioner Eckhart about, felt like only limiting it to 2 is very limiting in your backyard. Why is it only 2 such recreational vehicles per lot in your backyard?
And then this purpose highlighted is, it was, this is commentary, 2 personal watercraft and a single trailer shall be considered 1 watercraft.
She's just highlighting that in case you wanted to change that. So,
I mean, it kind of makes sense to me, I mean. we
yeah,
used to
2
have-
jet skis on the same trailer
We used to have
count as 1.
on one, and that's fine, because it's 1 trailer, really, so it's taking up the same amount of room as 1 trailer with a boat on it does, that makes sense to me. I do kind of agree that, I can see it both ways, I mean, you don't want someone that has an RV, a boat, 2 jet skis, toy hauler, I mean, like 14 things in their backyard, I don't know, but yeah, also it's their right to do that.
Yeah, I think her point was it's their backyard, do we care?
Right. I just like the fact that they have to be in the backyard. That was, I think, what the discussion was before.
Before, right,
That was,
they have to be,
and that was,
yeah.
and then recreational vehicles of watercraft shall not exceed 22 feet in length, nor 10 feet in height.
I think we lifted that. I'm gonna check on that. We lifted that length requirement, didn't we?
Yeah, because I can see where someone can have it. I haven't voted in for a long time, but 22 feet seems kind of restrictive. And the 10 feet in height, I mean, is that measuring from the ground to the top of the boat on the trail? Or, that would be, just super.
I imagine it's from grade to the top of the RV or boat on this trailer.
I have a question about this too, is the trailers, including box trailers?
Yeah, I think it's, just the maximum number of trailers.
Trailers are in.
Utility trailers, it says motorhomes, utility trailers, boats, boat trailers, overnight travel trailers, and similar vehicles or pieces of equipment. Shall comply with the law. So if you have a box trailer, and you've got a boat, an RV, you would not be in compliance.
And an open trailer like for a landscaping company,
Yeah, flatbed trailer,
flatbed trailer too, okay, that would be
the
something.
utility trailer.
Alright,
I have a question about that. Not that I have one, but out on Lake Street, the houses, they have frontage on the water, but their driveway comes out to the street, and the driveway is in front of the house, it's more street side, so you're saying that people with trailers and boat trailers can't park in their own driveway, if the driveway extends further than the front of the house?
I think you did address that.
This addresses that on those lots, yeah, that's considered the front yard between the street and the house.
In the front yard.
but the driveway goes to the front of the house. It doesn't go past the front of the house. There is no side, the driveway doesn't go to the side of the house. And you can't pull a trailer onto mushy land behind the house that's right on the lakefront.
Correct.
So, that's an issue.
Well, that's the way it probably is.
That's the current
That's the
code.
current code. That's an issue now. And I mean, I think the reason that you addressed it last year was because people were, I mean, you wanna, if someone parks a huge boat in their front yard, that's impinging, that's impinging on your quality of life if you're their neighbor. If someone puts a big boat and parks right next, in their front yard, right next to my front yard, I mean, it's blocking the whole street, view and everything else, right? Is that what, or like an RV? I mean, if you want to put it in your backyard, put it in your backyard, but being on the street front, the front yard is kind of, is partially, like public.
I think we need to go back and look, because I feel like we had the same conversation.
Yes.
about
We did.
people that live on the water.
You can't even park in your driveway, and you can't leave it there. I mean, if you're pulling in at night, you run a business, and you've got a utility trailer, and you're out the next day, that's fine, but to unhook it and drop it, and that trailer, boat, or RV sits there, we have prohibited that, the city's prohibited that. Can be in your side yard, we took off the size restriction, and can be in your backyard, there's no limit on the number currently. That's kind of the question right now, do we wanna, it just says one, and then later it says,
Yeah, this is one and then this is two.
no more
It
than
says
two.
two.
I don't understand what
Is your lakefront, is that your backyard or is that your front?
Yeah, so that's something to think about, what you just,
yeah, number one.
presented.
I live on.
But, I mean, cause some people do have, they got a boat, they have trailers. And,
And so they don't truly have a backyard, is what, because of,
If they live on the water, it's very different. It's big. According to our current code, they would need to pull those items around to the water side.
that's ridiculous.
That's been our current code.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily a good idea.
So we need to revisit that.
Well, for this, for kind of one item at a time, what do you think about limiting the number, restricting the number?
I think,
So in other words, if you had more than that, you'd have to rent a storage unit.
or outside storage,
What's the max for?
two.
Two.
I thought it was 4. Can we change it to 4?
How about three?
Where are you? Where are you talking about?
We're at the very beginning
Commentary?
of 3B.13.
So this is saying two.
Number and
persons.
size permitted, yeah.
I don't understand why number, it says no more than one
Okay, I see,
recreational
one, two.
See, it says one and then it goes to,
And then B, it says, when the residential zoning district, within residential zoning districts, no more than two such recreational marked out for trailers. That seems to,
And they're contradicting each other.
Yeah.
What would you like it to be? I guess we can make it the same.
Ann wants to say something.
And what do you want to say?
We have quite a few houses now that have more than one utility trailer in the yard. Some of them have 4 or 5.
are they there all the time? Like,
Yeah.
they leave them there daytime, nighttime? Sounds like you need to write some.
You know, they have RVs, they have recreational vehicles and box trailers and regular flatbed trailers and,
And this is a residential,
I can think of
a
5 or
residential
6 in my
district.
head right now that do that. I know one house that has at least 4 box trailers in the yard.
In a residential neighborhood?
Excuse me?
Is it a residence in a residential neighborhood?
Yes.
Because that seems like that would be a violation. Oh, do we have a?
We don't have a number restriction. Just can't be in the front yard.
That's what she's saying is in the front yard. And this is, the number restriction would be no matter what, front yard, backyard, side yard, anything.
So Commissioner Lawrence threw out the number 3. Is there any agreement on 3?
I was just negotiating. We are 2, I was for the
We
3.
do an auction.
Well, is that a combination of,
Yes,
you can have 3 boats or 3 box trailers?
Or an RV, a boat,
One
a
box
trailer.
One black trailer?
this number, in this specific part where you're talking about recreation watercraft or vehicle. So yeah, we're talking about utility trailers, boats, boat trailers, overnight travel trailers, motorhomes, similar vehicles or pieces of equipment. So yes, we're talking about all of them
It
combined,
would be 3 total.
3 total or 4 total, depending on what we decide. Right now it's 1, so, Madam Chairman,
Now it's just one?
no, that's
Well,
what it says right
on the
here.
proposals now,
And I think someone wants to make it.
A and B seem to contradict one another here.
So,
Yes, we were, I think,
Can you
Charles and I,
state-
or the mayor and myself, we had a conversation about a new ordinance for the chickens. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that progressing or is it not?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay, so this really doesn't have anything to do with it currently.
Well, we're talking about trailers and RVs. and-
Well, you were talking about chickens a minute ago.
No,
No.
no,
I'm sorry.
Trailers, not chickens.
we haven't, no.
But,
Sorry,
but
guys.
chickens,
I must have it on the
but chicken coop would be
I can't
considered
get closer to the microphone, sorry.
Well, yeah.
utility building.
Or you could defer to the commission, the city
Yeah,
commission.
yeah.
So,
That's an ordinance to be discussed.
yes,
so we're
because, I
changing
mean,
1 to
if it's
3.
in their backyard, you
I think,
know, and we're not
let's-
seeing it.
let's the city commission decide. It needs to, I think there might be a number that would be appropriate, and I think they should decide. And I just think we need to, our current code says nothing about that number. And I would just say,
Rachel, you need help.
if my neighbor had 5 trailers in their
That would be
property, I would be incensed. I mean, depending on how large the property is, you know, but, I mean, as the Tam was mentioning, if my neighbor had 4 trailers in the front yard, I would be livid.
Yeah, I would in the front yard, but if it's in the
Yeah.
backyard,
No, it's in the backyard, that's a different story, but
that's a, yeah.
in the front yard,
Because, you know, we're here in this town, people have, they have their boats, they have golf carts, they have all of those. items.
Would you want to put a high number or just remove a restriction, a number, or not even address the number?
I think there needs to be a number.
So,
So you were.
And I think the commission needs to decide that.
Madam Chair, do you want to defer to the city commission, just tell them you have concerns, just tell them you have concerns.
I don't know what the right number is, but there should be a number.
yeah, there should be, I'm not gonna say, I just think that if we said that it's in the backyard, and as long as we're not seeing it, you know,
What difference does it
that it's, you know, I don't think I should, if I got a backyard and I don't have to go and rent space to put my items,
Yeah.
you know, if they're in the yard, you know, they're in the back, they're not in the front yard.
Or garage.
Or, yeah,
So,
I'll put on there that you guys are kind of divided, but there's no restriction and then somewhat of a restriction. Ultimately, the commission's gonna have to.
right,
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this.
yeah,
I'm saying
I
what we
think,
have written here is not gonna work.
yeah,
I
no,
don't know if there should be a number or, I think the commission can figure that out.
All right, let's, keep going, so we have a long way to go. Anything else on outdoor residential storage and personal recreation vehicles? And next would be vehicle sales.
And I would also like to, I don't know what we're doing now, they compare that stuff to what you guys just did,
The current thing.
the current updated, because I mean, I know that you guys worked a long time on that, they came to a consensus, so. The car sales things,
It's very small, just,
yeah,
you can sell your car.
can't have a problem.
Can't have a car.
I think that's pretty easy.
C, Articles 3C, general regulations for specific commercial and non-residential accessory uses. This covers bed and breakfast inn. Let's just start with the first page. Cover bed and breakfast homestays,
Right.
basically these look residential in character.
Yeah, it was, I've never seen a bed and breakfast that's 10 bedrooms.
So the last, if I was looking at it correctly, so on the city website, it had, small homestays and large homestays. So small homestays were 5 bedrooms and large homestays were 6 or more. So now with this, we're just saying, a bed and breakfast, it's a private residence, we're up to 10 guest bedrooms, so is that something that they combine?
Yeah, this would replace what's currently online. And that, Bobby gets back, the state has done a lot with Airbnb, kind of taking away our abilities to regulate that. So we don't have much to say about this.
And is that what you were saying, that the under 5 homestays, is that what's considered an Airbnb? Is that?
I was just wondering how they came up with the combined 10.
With this Airbnb,
So I think it makes sure that you don't
and,
get into being
combined
an
currently our
entire
code
hotel.
divides it. 5 bedroom is considered small,
I just think
6 bedroom.
10 is large. I'm glad it's not my
As we
bedroom.
combine it all into.
I mean, it's a lot of people to take care of. If you're their occupancy, that's 20 people every morning for breakfast. Yeah, it's,
Where was the reference to 10?
it was in the,
It's in there
the bed and
first,
breakfast.
Oh, in the first paragraph.
Description.
yeah, first paragraph. We're up to
Like we
10.
have, how much can we do with the Airbnb extension?
Well, and that's considered short-term rental, right? Would be an Airbnb. Is that, because this is actually saying bed and breakfast, which is an owner-occupied private residence.
No, I think
Oh,
we
that's
can.
true.
I think we are able to regulate them. There was a bill in the state legislature this year, but it failed.
Yeah.
To preempt
Preempt the-
local zoning.
Yeah. Local government being able to regulate it. Although,
Yeah, I missed that, this is owner occupied private residence.
Yeah.
For up to 10 bedrooms, so that would replace the division that we have on.
Okay.
but do we have somewhere, I don't recall seeing something about short-term rentals.
Do we have anything?
Yeah,
I don't know.
in this, is that something that we need to add or consider? Don't you think? I mean, that's a question for Lapita, I guess. Lapita, no, sorry, it's not here.
I have a question about that too. Item 2, 2 parking spaces for dwelling, and they must be in the backyard. I don't think that's appropriate. I think back, rear, or side yard would be more appropriate.
And or shielded from public view. And from the view of adjacent property owners.
That's,
So if you've got a B and B next to you, you don't have to see the parking lot essentially, but. You want to recommend we strike that, or it's up to you?
that's crazy.
That was in the original one. That stayed the same.
That stayed the same,
Yeah.
Well, it says 2 parking spaces for your dwelling, plus 1 space per guest room must be provided. The parking may be in the rear yard and or shielded from public view and from the view of adjacent property owners. So you can put it in your front yard if you just put a fence around it.
But you can't be shielded from the view in the front yard because your fence can only be 4 feet high. So you're not shielded from
I
view.
was like, well, maybe your trees. I mean, if
I
there's
think
trees
the wording should be changed to rear or side, but that's just me.
Does this include Airbnbs?
No,
No,
this is only
bed and
bed and
breakfast.
breakfast that's owner occupied with up to 10 rooms.
I'll take a look at
So do you want to adjust that language or just leave it be?
look at this breakdown.
No, I was just wondering where the change, how they change from the old one to what we have. And you're saying because of more discussion or.
I mean, I guess,
No, it's just a recommendation
Oh.
from them to streamline it, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, in the case of the spray house,
Look at this breakdown, yeah.
I mean, they
It's
parked
not-
on, they parked on the street. Oh, yeah, they parked in the side, well, not even on the side, you can't be parking there.
There's some space on the side.
But I mean, there's street parking, so that's
It's the
provided.
side yard where the parking is.
Alright, I mean, the rear, I think maybe we can say this, the side or rear yard,
Yeah, side or rear.
because I mean, in that case, the building is offset, the lot is a lot bigger, so that part of that would be the side yard. So, I mean, putting it in, requiring that it has to be in the rear yard seems a bit, why don't we just add side?
Then we need to strike shielded from public view.
Why not? Why? And it says and or shielded from public view.
Well, it's or, that means it's covered in the language we have. If you want to change, say, side or rear, what you want to do is eliminate the need to shield it on the sides. Currently, you can park on the side and shield it from public view.
Okay. This is and or, so it has, it's in rear. Or shield it from public view, so it's rear yard before you should, and you should.
And shield.
So if we're gonna,
My brain's going much.
we want to be able to have them park on the side,
Then they have to have,
They
so it's
can't
not,
park.
it's not shielded from public view.
you need to strike the requirement to shield it from public view. Or it's covered already in the language.
Okay, we'll just leave it like that. I'm fine with it like that.
Okay,
Position on the street anyway.
So we're leaving that as is?
that's up to you. You want to, it's,
I mean,
Let's just leave it.
I'm new generally to the board, I was just wondering how, are they coming just for privacy of the individuals who are staying at the bed and breakfast, or
I think it's for the neighbors,
for the
for the
neighbors?
sake of the neighbors, so that the bed and breakfast being in a residential neighborhood doesn't intrusive.
I've been crossing
Packed
tires
all
for
in.
5 years and never once did they ever have anything to do with
So
it.
spray house, I mean, if someone would take down the curb and use it as a bed and breakfast, it says 2 parking spaces for the dwelling plus 1 space per guest room must be provided.
Well, our downtown, will have a variance for
Because that's-
parking,
Yeah.
and
Okay,
we would exempt them from that.
okay.
Should be grandfathered in.
So let's just move on, remembering.
We're making progress. 3C3, bulk propane gas storage and sales. Permit required and plot plan required. It's a very short little section.
That's scary.
Permitted accessory use in manufactured mobile home parks and recreational vehicle parks. So they often have a refilling station in those.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was pretty straightforward. Any questions on that? 3C4 is daycare. Child adult daycare is a facility that provides care and supervision for more than 6 children or adults and which is licensed by the state of Florida.
And the licensing for the state of Florida, that would go into all the other kind of requirements, right? I mean. they have-
Yeah, that'll handle that.
pretty-
Right.
Just
This
accept,
is
this is
just
just
the layout of the land of the
Yeah.
property, guys. Because,
how we handle parking,
adult vehicle,
play areas.
I think it seems fine.
It's pretty simple, yeah. Anything else on daycare? 3C5, personal home care. Does not include buildings which are devoted to independent living units, which include kitchen facilities where residents have the option of preparing and serving some or all of their own meals. Nor does it include assisted living facilities, nursing homes, rooming houses, single room occupancy residences, substance recovery facilities which do not provide personal care. This term also does not include the use of a residence or group of buildings as a home for individuals on parole, probation, or convicted and released from incarceration for any crimes including child molestation, aggravated child molestation, or child sexual abuse. So it outlines, personal home care.
So if it is. Okay, I just don't know why it says. List the names of the crimes. Is it saying for any crimes included? Why do we have to like list the actual names of the crimes?
Well, because they're specific, you can see in nature,
No, but it's saying for any crimes including. Right?
There's multiple.
It says for any crimes including child molestation, aggravated child molestation, or child sexual abuse. So does that mean that you can have one of these for people that can make the other crimes? Besides those?
Yes, because there's multiple different criminal acts under child molestation, I think is what they're getting at. So if you're charged, you're convicted of pertains to child molestation, you can, doesn't matter what it is.
But, so this is saying that you can have residents or group of buildings as a home for people on purpose that committed other crimes.
should it say such as, would that clarify?
Yeah.
Probably such as.
I just didn't know why we were specifically naming those list out means for other crimes.
I think it means to give us the idea of the body of crimes we're talking about here. Such as, any crimes such as child molestation, aggravated child molestation. Anything else on personal care home?
No.
3C6 is commercial industrial fences. limited to 6 feet in height, and customary materials other than those permitted under industrial or conservation zone. That's a short little section. C7 is communications towers.
This one is,
Most of it is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So I think towers providing co-location and design as a monopole, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, maybe 150 feet in height. I didn't see that one in the last one.
I think that is to kind of, I'm not trying to say, to, get people to co-locate instead of building, everyone building their own tower.
Yeah.
To encourage, to encourage co-location. Because in a monopole is those ones that are just one pole that goes up, there's no guy wires, there's no lattice, or, I think they look a lot better. I think, and that's what they're kind of we're trying to encourage that as a use, right?
Yeah, reduce the clutter.
Yeah.
Most of it all the same. I noticed that the only other changes were, I think number 5, no signage of any type shall be allowed upon any tower erected hereunder. That was the same, but then the added piece was other than the contact information of responsible entity, so they just added more information to be more clear. And then I believe number 7 was added, and number 9, but no, 7,
So
9, and 10.
Does that make sense though? I mean, they should put
So
a
it's
screen
like
landscape up around it.
Mhm.
making it more
Yeah.
presentable.
Because this is, when we were going through the zoning, these are allowed with conditional use and all the different zoning categories, right?
I don't remember.
I thought they were, except communications towers, and then this is just specifying what the rules are for those. The historic downtown residential overlay district, we don't
That
have,
should actually be just,
the downtown development of residents, right, don't remember the word, but we don't have that.
yeah, I think it should maybe meant just the downtown overlay, it's probably what that should refer to. All right, anything else on communication towers? 3C8 is community gardens. We talked a lot about this in the zoning.
I don't think that it should be banned, outright, no.
This allows them, just quantifies them.
I think it was good to see
Yeah.
some of the things that, I like.
Anything else on community gardens? 3C9 is food trucks. The state did pass a statute on food trucks where we can't require additional licensing, but we can require a BTR. Used to be like you went into a city, you had to go in and get a food truck permit. Some cities it was based on the event and, but now you just have a business tax receipt, you're just a business, you can park anywhere. Especially if you have a private, lease with a private property owner, you can park in, my understanding, you can park in the right of way, you can't, like, they couldn't go into Even Line Park where we don't allow it, but they can park on the street and bend on the sidewalk. This does provide some restrictions, proximity to restaurants.
Well, they can't park in, you don't even have 17, but they can park on city street,
On city street, yeah.
if there's parking
Yeah,
along there.
your parking's allowed there. You can park there.
So would they have to be,
But they have to have a business license for
They have a business tax receipt, at least 400 feet from a brick and mortar restaurant, temporary seating is, if you're at least 400 feet, there's another reference to brick and mortar. Basically, providing a little perfection, you don't pull up outside of a restaurant and set up your food truck.
yeah.
Start operating. Food trucks may not conduct business within 200 feet as measured from the main entrance of the brick and mortar restaurant, the service window of a food truck.
And also, something of the size of it. No larger than 5 by 10 feet. That's a push trucks, right? But, a food trucks shall be no larger than 30 by 8 feet.
Where are you? Which one?
That's the very first paragraph, saying the size of food trucks. 30 by 80, is that?
Yeah, I questioned that one.
I was like, what is the,
I'd like to strike that, yeah.
figuring out what that is. Like the gentleman that was here for next door, said he has a food trailer.
And I think it's much longer than 30.
I would have to assume that, I just wondering.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to limit the length. My wife and I had a food truck for a while. We always wanted one of those longer. You just need more
always want
room
more
there,
room,
yeah. Back in there. So you,
And if you go to bigger one, you probably get one.
Joe, as of right now, they don't, the food trucks do not need BTR, correct?
I read the statute, Bobby sent me the statute on that, and we can charge them for a BTR. If they're gonna set up in the city. They don't need it for special events and that sort of thing, but,
That was my question, for special events, so.
no, they're permitted through the event. We give the event a permit, and then they go through the event.
And
If
that
they
was,
wanna come down and set up every day, they get a lease from property owner, they need to get a BTR.
and that covers it for the year, right? Just to-
Yeah.
So that the people that he's gonna have next door, then they need to buy one.
They'll have a BTR for the whole thing. They'll probably have a separate one for their, I think they cater and so forth, so they'll have a separate business.
But what about, there was gonna be other food trucks that will come and happen on different days? Or those,
Well, I would view that as an event, because that truck might be there once a month, wouldn't be a regular item where they're leasing space, and so would need to show us a BTR. They'll need to be still licensed by the state and inspected by the state and so forth.
So it doesn't matter what size the food truck is, the permit for them to operate is still the same fee?
Yes.
And then, let me, clarify something, so like if you say they can park it anywhere as long as they have those, proper license?
Correct. There's a business, the BBPR licensing and all their equipment has to be inspected.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of inspections, all that's state, so they have to be current on that.
Okay, and as long as they're, not within 400 feet of a brick and mortar?
Yeah.
Okay,
So when I'm saying food,
For seating, they can't serve within 200 feet. They can't set up a seating area within 400 feet,
okay.
unless you want to change that, that's.
so just for clarification, where it says food trucks may conduct business only within the zones designated for such activity.
Which number are you on?
That's on, H, letter H, well, number 4H.
4H. So, yeah, they would have to be in, downtown zoning, GC1, so they couldn't go into a residential neighborhood and operate from residential zoning district. It need to be GC1 or downtown zone, DR1, industrial.
Okay, so they can't go to
they can't go
the
to
North Park and set up their food truck?
Yeah, they can't be on city property though.
Yeah, they couldn't go in the park without approval from us. Or on the road because it's residential zoning, so they would need to, set up in a commercial area, essentially. Now, if you want to recommend that they have that ability, that's within your.
Well, I pointed that out, because you said they can set up wherever they wanted to, but they actually can't, they have to do it in the zones that are designated for the activity, for, for such an activity.
So on Central, they wouldn't be able to, the street there by Three Bananas, on Central, they wouldn't be able to park near the corner because that would be within 200 feet of a brick and mortar restaurant.
Correct.
Same with the bistro.
Other than during a special event, yeah.
Same thing with
Other than during special events?
So actually, nobody would actually be able to have a food truck on Central?
Well, 200 feet up this way,
But then there's Mystic Bistro on the other side.
from Mystic Bistro, there's nothing, so
It had to be after cross.
from that 200 feet all the way to Central, all the way to Summit, that seems like open ground currently.
Until they're going across the street there.
Then if there's food here, it'd be 200 feet that way, so I think there'd still be a space in the middle there.
I think,
And that's because what happened historically, if the restaurants were organized, it would prevent food trucks completely in the city. And then the food trucks got organized with a good lobby and said, look, you can't just keep us out, we're business owners and we contribute and so forth. So it kind of came to a happy medium. They just operate, but not depend on somebody who's set up there and can have a food truck pull up outside and start selling right outside.
Yeah, I think that's very disrespectful.
It also says on 4C, food trucks shall not operate on private property without the written consent of the property. So that means they could do it. Well, is that property owner like a residential or a business?
So it would need to be zoned for commercial activity, and then the property owner would say, I approve, so that just setting up poaching on somebody's property.
you just can't do it, you can't like do it in a single family
Gotcha.
residential.
So it's only commercial property, not private.
Yeah. because
Commercial,
residential-
light industry, or DR1.
This part that's highlighted in the next page. We're talking about this.
Was that on your copy as well?
I'm
I think that's something I had highlighted. I'm thinking about our unimproved services, even in our commercial area. Where a food truck could pull in, this requires concrete, gravel, asphalt, or other similar material. But not utilize the public right of way. Do you have that statute? Just make sure the statute. About public right of way, this one, what we're saying here is you cannot be in the public right of way.
It just, the only restriction is you can't, so completely out.
So there's some,
So you can go to your report, you just can't say they can't be anywhere.
So we can restrict them from the public right of way.
because I mean, they're like, place next door, choose out someone, fill out the there, and that's a property, gets permission, it's not gonna go right away.
Well, this was, so if,
So you'd have to have permission from someone to know.
the way I thought it was, for instance, someone could pull in on Central, and just pull into the parallel parking, their window facing the sidewalk across from like, K-Cuts. And then serve out the window, just like you see you go in a big city, and there's a food truck
Yeah.
park there, you walk up, get a hot dog or.
Food truck park is different than,
Yes,
This is saying, would not be.
oh, you're saying food truck parked. I thought you
yeah,
said-
that's what, I would like,
You'd like them to be able to serve right off the street?
right,
Yeah, I
yes.
agree with that. Is that the consensus?
I'm fine with that. I thought you were saying a food truck parked, I thought you were saying a food truck park.
Out in the park. And then,
I haven't done one discharge.
yeah, actually, no discharge of equipment. Or any sanitary sewer system, I have a question on that because ultimately, even in a commissary, you dump it in the sanitary sewer system, so I don't know why that's.
Yeah, I think that's meaning, without permission, I mean, because you would have to go to, I don't know, having a food truck, you have.
You have to dump your gray water
Right.
in an official
Dump
sewer line, basically, yeah,
So I
dump station, so we'll ask them about that language,
you know, change language.
but certainly no storm drain.
Right, yeah, that's the.
I found a dirty little secret of some food trucks is, they have to drive a long way, they just crack the
thing that they're trying to.
gray tank open just a little bit, then it dribbles out on the highway as they're driving down the interstate, and by the time they get back, it's empty.
So you're saying we did that?
No, we never did.
I was,
We had trouble reaching capacity on site.
right,
We stopped, like, full, gray tank's full. Anything else on food trucks? I feel like the food truck craze has kind of subsided quite a bit, kind of went at its day, and there's still a little bit.
that's just over here.
Motor vehicle service, 3C10. Motor vehicle service establishment shall be a minimum of 50 feet from residential uses and have a minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet. That's highlighted because that's a decision point. How do you feel about that?
With that,
What is a motor vehicle service?
Car repair,
Okay.
auto shop.
And also a gas station, because it's pump island canopies. That's what it's,
Yeah, pump out can't minimum setback.
so is it,
So it'll be gas stations with auto repair and auto repair. Anywhere they fix cars.
or do oil changes?
Or wash cars, this covers vehicle washing facilities.
That's what I was asking, what that actually means. So is it all of those things?
Yeah, so we were getting a new gas station in town, this would govern how close to the neighbors behind it could be, and if there was residential behind it, which is likely.
And we so desperately need.
Yeah.
would that exclude the current business that has the 3 garage door bays? I know he's talking about putting a tap room in there. But if they maintain the 3 garage doors, are you saying that, would that building not be able to be a garage moving forward? I don't know what the size of that lot is.
Multi-use on one building.
That's right now, like in terms, but that's not what this is talking about, right?
But wasn't it something stated where, after not being used for a certain amount of time, it has to go back to its original
Loses
usage?
conditional use.
Yes.
So basically, since that was originally a garage, if the special use permit wasn't granted, it would default back to a garage. Okay, I like that. Because that's what most of
That's what I
them
said, we talked,
It's a general commercial piece of land, it can be whatever they want.
No, it's a conditional use, garage, auto
Well, the
repair.
conditional use was,
Yeah, the conditional use is for the tap room, the original use was a garage.
because that was a conditional use you guys granted for it to be a garage. Because that's under conditional use under our business zone,
Correct, it has a conditional use for auto repair.
but we've just not amended that.
If it's been vacant, if it's not done auto repair for 6 months, they'll lose that.
Right, it
It doesn't
doesn't,
do auto repair again, let's say that
so they have to
no longer
apply
get a tap,
to conditional use.
they'll have to come back and apply for
but,
another conditional use.
But I'm not saying it doesn't default to a garage,
No.
it defaults to a piece of commercial property.
Yeah,
Do whatever you
default
want with it, within the realm of the commercial zoning. Getting the auto repair garage was a conditional use that was granted. And they now amended it to do a restaurant or whatever.
So what was the original use of
Yeah,
the retail?
originally.
It's a commercial piece of
Yeah,
property, there is no
that's what I said.
specified use.
That probably preceded the zoning, would be my guess. So now once the zoning's in place and then it went vacant, the new zoning
General
applies,
commercial.
which is conditional use.
Mhm.
So if somebody wanted to buy it and start up a auto repair, they'll have to come to you for conditional use, which they did and was granted, it's been granted twice. now.
Right, but there's no set use of the property, it's a piece of commercial
Other than
property.
the by right, that list of uses by right.
But I mean, there's no, they can do whatever they want with it within the realm of the commercial zoning. It doesn't say it has to be a service station. It was there,
But it can
or it can be with conditional use. We have those, there's, there's a list of things that are allowed within general commercial, but you have to have conditional use. So you have to come in before us and get permission to do it.
And that's been done twice already.
So I mean, but it doesn't say that it has to be a garage, because now they're gonna turn it into a tap room. And
So
they
what-
can
what it
build
says-
anything else they want to there,
So it says defaults back to the original use, what was the original use?
commercial property.
That's okay, there's
Just
commercial
property,
property.
anything they want to do within the realm of this
Yes,
requirement.
best, that means that OEM comes to reapply for if you want to change it, if you want to.
Gonna look at, I can't visualize this 15,000 square foot lot.
Yeah.
I think it's to make sure we don't end up with another sort of A where you can't get in and out.
Right.
So he's gonna look up what the size of that lot is and tell you, but I think it's probably to make sure we get a lot sized.
Right, something that's big
So
enough.
we're gonna look that up and tell you so you can kind of visualize what that lot is versus, 15,000 square feet. Do a map search.
Yeah. Can you translate that? Acres to square feet. 43,000 square feet. That's 0.7 acres. But 0.7 is
Yeah, it don't sound, anyway.
That's 30,000 square feet. That's pretty small. Yeah, that lot over there is 30,492 square feet. That number may be too small.
That's sort of thing.
No, they're not right across the street on the corner there. It's Taproot.
It's
That lot.
30,000 square feet?
Yes, this is saying have a minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet.
Well, it's their minimum.
So it'd be half that size, would be the minimum size allowed.
Yeah, gotta be.
Should we say, that's 0.7 acres, 30,500
Well, the old,
basically.
the old Circle K at the south end of town,
How big is that?
it's 20,473 square feet.
20,000?
Now
It's hard to tell where that one stops and starts.
Yeah, that's right, well, there is a piece of land right next to it that was sold as part of the package, the person that sold it, or just bought it. Bought the store and the piece of land next to it, but there's our two parcels. But the part that just has the store on it is 20,473 square feet.
How big is the Bolero up here? Which one you can get there first?
Right, which one? Down by Monroe Street. FIFA, yeah.
Actually, road question, what's how big is that?
The Valero is 22,651 square feet.
That space on the sides.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
it's kind of,
So maybe 15,000 is all right? Or you wanna make it
I
20,000?
think 20,000.
Yeah,
'Cause
20,000.
I mean, you need to, I can imagine them being able to fit
It
everything.
shouldn't be in this line.
I mean, what about Shepherd's Garage? I can't remember, because that's an auto service. Right?
Yeah, that one that pumps. How big is that one?
Yeah, that's what it was. Just checking, because it doesn't have pumps, it doesn't have, just this, garage. Right, so,
It's 0.34, so it's smaller than Valero.
Yeah.
it'd be, yeah, 23
Acres.
acres. Yeah.
That's a little bit bigger actually than this across the street.
So, yeah, it's, 14,810.
So
It's 14,000,
half the size of that, yeah.
it's 14,810 square feet.
Okay, so just,
So
just
Shepherd's
for our
Garage.
repair. So this would cover asking somebody just wanted to run a mechanic shop, build a brand new shop.
15,000 is fine.
Okay, so 15,000 is, Ms. Sykes?
I have a question about, number 8, vehicle washing facilities. All mechanical washing, drying, and polishing machinery shall be located within a building. I think, what does that mean? You have to enclose it and then you have to lift garage doors to go into a washing facility?
I think it's like one of
I think it means that,
drive-through car wash.
or like the laundry facility.
Yeah, but the laundromat, there's a,
Building, I mean, it has a roof over it.
so
it's
that's
not just
considered a
out.
building?
That's right, I think it's
Just like
it's
a
the
drive-through,
inflation.
like
Is
That was my question,
Yeah.
what kind of building are you talking about?
So I think it just means that you can't be out in the middle of, like, without some sort of,
Yes.
you can't just have
Get
a
that.
little parking lot
Slash
and have a
structure,
car wash business there.
structures, building slash structure.
If the veto was
Do you
here.
think that would clarify?
Or structure that has a roof.
I think, I think it just means that you can't,
Roofed structure, you can make it slash.
you can't just do it out in the middle of a parking lot. Oh, yeah, because if you're,
I'm wondering if they were thinking about something you drive through.
Yeah, this is referencing like a drive-through car wash.
So this would,
Oh, it says all mechanical washing, drying, and polishing machinery shall be located within a building. It doesn't say that the car wash itself is in a building, it's just saying that the machinery is inside the building.
Huh?
It just says all mechanical washing, drying, and polishing machinery shall be located within a building.
But what would you help me to understand, what would be the difference? I mean, where would you have mechanical washing, drying, polishing within the building if it's not?
I think it's saying that the equipment, the mechanical equipment to do it, like you have pumps and all that stuff. Like when you go through an automatic car wash, all that stuff, all the pumps and all of the machinery is inside the building. If it's automated, so it's saying people are all Americans are not. People, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm
I can
saying,
write
it
this.
sounds like it sounds like it's referencing.
a drive
Drive,
through,
Like
yes,
mechanical, mechanical.
yeah,
So
so,
mechanical washing, drying, and polishing
It's
machinery.
not like this place up here, All Star, where they hand wash. it.
Right.
Or I don't think it's like the
Or at the laundry.
laundromat, it's got a spray wand,
It's talking about all mechanical washing.
mechanical washing.
So yeah, it would be inside.
so, so they can no longer have,
No, that
No,
is.
that's not mechanical, that's hand wash.
Mechanical. It's
So like the machine.
Like the machine,
Right.
like the,
Right.
like, okay, so like he has down there the new,
Yeah, it doesn't apply to that.
the old
That's a,
spot, like what we used to, that's still fine.
Yeah.
To have, okay,
I've
and
never seen one, but I guess this would prevent someone from just having the rack sitting out there bare. When you see the car going through and the
Oh,
machinery
I mean,
moving across
it's
it,
just staying, so
they're required to get inside the building.
oh, that water be everywhere.
So did you just clarify that
Yes.
it's referencing a
A
drive-through,
drive, yeah,
car wash?
Okay. Anything else on motor vehicle service?
mm-mm.
Next, outdoor storage units and freezers, very short paragraph. Accessory uses for places of worship, such as daycares, schools, and food halls, and differing site development requirements need not be approved as conditional uses. If a master plan is submitted to the city and the development is approved by the city commission as a plan development. Then it identifies what's considered accessory.
Well, I don't know what about. Right, questions?
For the, accessories for places of worship?
12, yeah,
No.
self-storage.
Yeah, should we move on to 13, self-storage? Facility providing individual storage spaces designed to allow private access by the tenant for storing personal property.
It's a public storage. So, right,
That's pretty straightforward.
yeah.
14 is sidewalk cafes. This is basically allowing for sidewalk cafes, maintaining ADA access through the area, as well as the safety of people sitting along the curb. Any questions on this?
And this has to be, an extension of a restaurant already in use.
Correct. Yeah.
You can just open up that cafe. On the sidewalk.
I just want to.
That would be fun. If you have a food truck and you make food in it, you can serve on cafe.
C15 is recreational vehicle parks and campgrounds. RV campgrounds being required design compatibility standards shall accommodate travel in public for a defined maximum time period associated with specialized seasonal vacation and transient characteristics of such development. In contrast to the more permanent and extended stay characteristics of an RV park and a manufactured mobile home park. So this is just setting out those standards.
This is talking about mentioning land. Right. Other than
That would be,
plan development, so.
yeah, that's their PUD. It's probably of all types of development, we get the most inquiries for RV parks. Companies sniffing around for a place to establish an RV park.
So where does it define?
Anything else on RVs and campgrounds?
Where does it define the maximum time?
The maximum what?
Well, it says, that you can have, shall accommodate traveling public for a defined maximum time period. What is that, where is that defined? Where is this defined maximum time period?
From what we're seeing, but
It's it's right underneath 3C15, the time of recreation vehicle.
Oh, yes, the paragraph right under the vehicle recreation or the campgrounds, that to accommodate the traveling public for a defined maximum time period.
So if you go to a campground and you're parking,
It's not limiting the number, it's saying that that's what the nature of the facility, that you're coming there for a defined period of time, you're paying the person for a period of time to stay there, correct?
yeah, I believe it's, so when you
We're
get
not
there,
limiting it.
sign in, there's an hour.
You to have a defined period of time that you are.
So the RV park has a defined period of time.
Right.
The city's not defining a period of time. Okay. Question.
All right, 316, standards for drive-in facilities.
Is this driving or drive-throughs?
Essentially, it's a drive-through. Stacking, it talks about stacking lanes for banks, fast food.
Makes sense.
You good with that?
Yeah.
C17, temporary sales offices. And kind of very often, it's a very short section.
Subdivision. Or condo.
18, vehicle and boat repair and maintenance. I don't know how this is distinct from auto repair. Was it vehicle and boat repair?
Yeah, you might answer that.
Yeah, that's great.
I guess it should just say boat repair.
Yeah.
No, I'm vehicle repair. Not boat repair.
Okay, vehicle and boat repair, more.
Right, that's what he's gonna ask. because
Yeah,
there needs to be
Some say
specification.
50 feet and now they say 200 feet.
Right, there's a difference.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't say vehicle and boat repair unless it's referring to other quantum vehicles or something. Because it also says that you must complete the service activity on any motor vehicle within 7 day period and not store, demolish, or junk any motor vehicles. But if capable of moving, they're not on site, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from,
The sites.
Yeah, I just think this is a little too restrictive.
yeah, we're gonna look at it, because I think I think the intention here is for boats. And that's why it's further away from the residential areas than the auto, an automobile repair place.
Yes, vehicle and boat,
Right,
repair and
but
maintenance.
this really shouldn't refer to cars, because that's separate. We already covered the automobile service areas. This would really just.
I think this is, the other one may have just been for facility, gas station, or this
This is for the vehicles themselves.
Yeah.
is work, repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other one said that included just.
Yeah, it does.
Figure it out.
It
The other one did say that it was for auto service.
Yeah, so
So
like,
I meant that there was gas pumps or, services, anything having to do with an automobile. So there really, I don't think should be an auto.
I mean, I
There
don't
needs to be
know how we can dictate how the turnaround,
I'm sorry?
Putting those parts and so
yeah,
forth.
putting on parts.
Mhm.
I don't know how we can dictate that out. Like, they have to have it, repaired within 7 day
I
period.
think
Yeah, just what if they have to order parts? The car's not, you bring the car in, they take the part out, and then realize something else is wrong, they have to order a part. you're saying that vehicle can't sit out there for more than 7 days, I just think it's too restrictive.
I think the intent is to keep it from someone keeping a junker out front that's like, oh, I'm waiting, you know, I'm working on it still. You know, there needs to be some sort of limit, if not you become a junkyard. But I mean, 7 days is not a lot. But I mean,
Especially if you have to order parts, that's.
right, I understand. I'm just saying that that's the intention of putting a date there, is to keep it from becoming a junkyard.
We wanna make it.
Yeah, I understand that.
30-day period?
30 days is better.
I think 14 days would probably be more.
Okay. Outdoor display area. That are not a principal use or temporary use. I think it's basically kind of what you see at Ace, where you put everything out each day and then bring it in at night. We have a problem in Newport Richie with pawn shops on the highway that appliances and things out and just set it 24/7.
Yeah, that's
Jumping up the roadway.
Well, I mean, Dollar General, you know, they take that stuff in every night.
Yeah, I think that's
all
intentional.
parts.
Yeah.
Roll it out and put it back, it's gotta be in front of your place, not your neighbor's.
That's cool.
Okay,
For that one.
so that's 3B.
Now we have the currency.
One of the things I'm working on with Zeb Cohen is to provide us kind of a schematic across the current code and the new code and where things got moved. And it's gonna be more expansive than our current code, as you've seen. There's a lot of stuff missing in our code, so I did a summary at the beginning of what needed to happen, and then now that we're going through it, I'm going to show that graphically. I'll bring that to you as soon as we have it. So Article 8 is concurrency. And so this is interesting because we're also going through impact fee conversation. So concurrency is keeping up that your level of service can maintain the same. We do cover it in chapter 6, and I think of our current codes, it's a much smaller section, it's more comprehensive. And it does talk about, so if we initiate impact fees, then you subtract that from the proportionate share and so forth. So if the new subdivision's coming in, and we're like, wow, we make them do a trip count, that's gonna really tear up the road and wear it out. They need to help pay for that, but they've already paid transportation impact fees. We would deduct that from this proportionate share of rebuilding the road and adding a turn lane or whatever, so.
Can I suggest that this is really heavy and we don't have our planner here? Can we push this off till next month? I mean, we've been here for 2 hours. I'm literally.
It's up to you all.
I mean, I'll make the motion with, my partner wants to say. I mean, there's a lot of stuff and I'm familiar with comp plans and concurrency and I still get lost on this. Without
Very
being
technical.
here, yeah, I don't think we would really be able to do it justice. I mean, I'm sorry that messes up the schedule, but it kind of is hard to do without her here. So I move that we push this till next month.
And we do have something else to cover with still as
Two
well.
more chapters next month. I don't know how intense they are. We'll take a look at that and we can push into August.
I mean,
I think we're gonna finish up next month, but we can.
I don't think we can do this justice without her here, first of all. Because I have stuff that's marked in here that I don't think you're gonna be able to.
So we'll end up with more questions that we get. So the questions that we have for her,
We're not gonna efficiently.
are they, how do we know what she is saying? Because the next time we meet, we'll be moving on to something else, so.
Well, I'll send it to her to revise it, to make those revisions, and then that version is what goes to the commission. So when you just want clarification, I'll have to get back to you when she clarified something.
So I mean, there's a lot of this that's, I'm sorry, it's heavy, and I just think we should push it during this week. Or something move, or next month. See, I can't even tell if it was a week and a month right now.
I think Commissioner Lori spent.
I'm sorry, I'm swearing, I'm not.
Yeah, I kind of went through it and you know, my take on what it was. Of course, I was gonna need some clarification on some things,
Yeah, 'cause a lot of this has to do with, the comp plan and state law and how it all works, and I don't know, I don't think you can explain it as well as she can.
We'll have her or Mark here next month.
Bobby can explain.
Yeah, I think it's, that's what he was going to. Do you, want a second, I move?
Second.
Okay, there's the motion and second that we, postpone review on Article 810 concurrency until July. Roll call.
Any other comments? BJ Ward, Ron Covello.
Aye. All right, old business,
I'm gonna reach out.
old business.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just didn't get through a lot today, so.
And I just wanna, before we leave, like, quick, we go, Jay.
No, it's fine.
I remember Lisa DeVito at the last meeting mentioning something about getting material from us in a more timely manner so they can review it, they have time to review it. So I just wanted to mention that, that was stated.
We've been sending to them.
When she asked that question that you're talking about, she wants the clean version before you guys. submit it.
Okay,
So
okay,
when I send it to you, all the
Send that
commissioners
version.
get it at the same time.
okay,
So they have it,
okay.
when you guys
Okay.
get it,
And then they get
get it.
the,
Okay,
Our
okay,
version of it.
because I misunderstood it like they will just get it and,
No,
okay.
so they have a clean version
and they
and the
have our,
revised version.
what we've suggested, and that's.
Sounds great. Okay, general discussion. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
I move that we adjourn.
You know,
I, I mean,